Jungle.
So it's 30 minutes past 9. I welcome you to another exciting edition of From the Newspaper, streaming live from the premises of the AC Hotel, Akwete, Ibadan. Good morning to you all. We are listening to MFM 97.3 this morning, where we set the agenda and project the truth. And don't forget, you can watch us live on Facebook at MFM 97.3. Now, don't you know, do well to like, comment, and share. Remember, don't forget this program is in form of 3 segments. The first segment is the weather forecast report of 3 major cities in Nigeria: the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, the commercial city of Lagos, and the vibrant city of Ibadan. Where the second segment on the show is the headlines, make round of Nigerian newspaper. And as we shall always bring 4 newspapers to you every morning: the Punch newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, the Guardian newspaper, and the Nigerian Tribune. Where the last segment on the show is the details to the headlines. My name is SHAQEEROH, AKINYEMI. So moving on to the first segment on the show this morning, which is the weather forecast report. And the first city I'm bringing on is the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. At 10 a.m. in Abuja this morning, intermittent clouds with 23 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m. intermittent clouds with 24 degrees Celsius. And at 12 p.m. it's partly sunny with 25 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m. it's partly sunny with 25 degrees Celsius. And at 2 p.m. intermittent cloud with 26 degrees Celsius. At 3 p.m. it's thunderstorms with 25 degrees Celsius. And at 4 p.m. it's cloudy with 24 degrees Celsius. At 5 p.m. it's cloudy with 24 degrees Celsius. And at 6 p.m. it's cloudy with 24 degrees Celsius. At 7 p.m. it's cloudy with 23 degrees Celsius. And at 8 p.m. it's mostly cloudy with 22 degrees Celsius. At 9 p.m. it showers with 22 degrees Celsius. And at 10 p.m. it's mostly cloudy with 21 degrees Celsius. At 11 p.m. it's mostly cloudy with 21 degrees Celsius. Audio Jungle.
Audio Jungle.
At 10 a.m. in the commercial city of Lagos this morning, it's cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m. it's cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. And at 12 p.m. it's cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. Up until 1 p.m. it's cloudy with 28 degrees Celsius. And at 2 p.m. is rain with 27 degrees Celsius. At 3 p.m. is rain with 27 degrees Celsius. And at 4 p.m. is cloudy with 28 degrees Celsius. At 6 p.m. is rain with 27 degrees Celsius. And at 7 p.m. is cloudy with 26 degrees Celsius. At 8 p.m. is cloudy with 26 degrees Celsius. And at 9 p.m. is cloudy with 26 degrees Celsius. At 10 p.m. is cloudy with 26 degrees Celsius. And at 11 p.m. is cloudy with 26 degrees Celsius. Audio Jungle. To the last city on the first segment this morning, which is the vibrant city of Ibadan, where we are streaming live from. At 10 a.m. in Ibadan this morning is rain with 25 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m. is rain with 26 degrees Celsius. And at 12 p.m. is cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m. is rain with 28 degrees Celsius. And at 2 p.m. is cloudy with 29 degrees Celsius. At 3 p.m. is rain with 28 degrees Celsius. And at 4 p.m. is cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. At 5 p.m. is cloudy with 26 degrees Celsius. And at 6 p.m. is rain with 25 degrees Celsius. At 7 p.m. is cloudy with 24 degrees Celsius. And at 8 p.m. is cloudy with 24 degrees Celsius. At 9 p.m. is thunderstorms with 23 degrees Celsius. And at 10 p.m. is thunderstorms with 23 degrees Celsius. At 11 p.m. is cloudy with 23 degrees Celsius. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. second segment on the show, which is the headlines maker on the Nigerian newspaper. And the first newspaper we're bringing on this morning is the Punch newspaper. The lead story on the Punch newspaper this morning says, Pengasans fires back as Shettima defends Dangote, and page 2 has the details to that story. To that story, the first rider says, Vice President wants Labour Union not to hold nations hostage. Another rider says, Pengassan votes repeat strike if members are sacked again. And the last rider says, Pro-Dangote protesters accuse Pengassan of sabotage, and page 2 has the details to that stories. Of the Punch newspaper says, Enugu governor's ministers trade wars over alleged certificate forgery, and page 7 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Story on the Punch newspaper says, insecurity, Tinubu to meet Council of State, Police Thursday, and page 2 has the details to that story. Petrol imports dropped to 8-year low, says report, and page 25 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle. Lawyer has called to stop Jonathan from contesting, and page 7 has the details to that story. Natasha resumes at Senate today after 6 months suspension, and page 8 has the details to that story. Remand Lagos accountant over alleged 200 million naira thefts, and page 5 has the details to that story. And the last story on the Punch newspaper this morning says, ASU mobilizes chapters for October 13 warning strike, and page 3 has the details to that story. Audio Jungle.
To the Vanguard newspaper, the lead story on the Vanguard newspaper says, Federal Highway of Honor, collapsed road making life unbearable for travelers, and page 11 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
On the Vanguard newspaper says, reform must translate to opportunity, and page 20 has the details to that story. Times rollout could worsen inflation, says beer sectoral group. And page 16 has the details to that story. Presidential poll. Court asked to restrain Jonathan, says INEC. And page 8 has the details to that story. Vanguard newspaper under story says Boko Haram wagging war of evil, not religion, says Irabo ex-CDS. And page 16 has the details to that story. Nationwide strike lumps as ASU non-academic staff of varsities issue ultimatum. And page 8 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Another story on the Vanguard newspaper says legal battle begins over minister's certificate. And page 9 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
To the Guardian newspaper. The lead story on the Guardian newspaper this morning says students loan. Now phone cakes as institution hike tuition fees, charges for profit. And page 6 has the details to that story. The Guardian newspaper says dissent of president appointing INEC official swells. And page 3 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Certificate scandal, Umba behind my ordeals, Nanji claims. And page 3 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Story on the Guardian newspaper says Awujale stood over 30 aspirants screened as more jostle for throne. And page 5 has the details to that story. Inflation to enjoy reforms, World Bank advises Nigeria. And page 15 has the details to that story. Nigeria's full security goals stalled by flawed procurement policy, experts claim. In page 7 have the details to that story. triggers federal government. Senate pushback on alleged Christian persecution. MP6 has details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Bandits kills one, kidnapped two residents in Kwara. And page 30 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Still on the Guardian newspaper, and that story says, strike imminent as ASU mobilizes member, decries federal government inaction. And page 4 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Story on the Guardian newspaper says 2027 Mimiko denies leading Southwest consultation teams to woo Jonathan. And page 5 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Story on Nigerian Tribune this morning says alleged genocide against Christians. Senate moves to counter narrative. And there's one right out to that story that says may engage US Congress. And page 4 has the details to that stories.
Audio Jungle.
Story says National Convention. Our PDP National Secretary Mehemij 6 stakeholders. In page 15 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Obi challenges INEC to address certificate forgery ahead of 2027 polls. And page 3 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
ASU mobilizes member for nationwide strike. And page 3 has the analysis to that story. Nigerian Tribune says retire heavy hem Obierika dies mid-airway on British Airway flight. And page 30 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Court acts to restrain Jonathan from contesting 2027 presidential election. And page 4 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Another story on Nigerian Tribune says else choking during sex can result in stroke, convulsion, even paralysis.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Pakistan was greater than Nigeria, says federal government. And page 8 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Another story on Nigerian Tribune says Tinubu orders reduction of 2026 Hajj fee. MP 30 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Radio.
Ẹ̀yin ènìyàn mi lọ́kùnrin àti lóbìnrin lọ́mọdé àti lágbà, orúkọ mi ni olóyè Dr. Lérèpà Iná Ìdánilọ́lá mẹ́fà. Mo ń fi àsìkò ìròyìn wípé ẹ máa gbọ́ AIM FM radio and TV nígbà gbogbo, torí pé ẹ máa kọ́gbọ́n bẹ̀, ẹ máa nímọ̀, ẹ máa lóye gbogbo ìgbà. Etí tẹ́ fi ń gbọ́ wọn létí, ojú tẹ́ fi ń mú wọn gbé fọ́, ẹ máa gbọ́ wọn, ẹ máa ṣe iṣẹ́ tí yín náà ní dísẹ́mọ̀ ẹ lọ́wọ́. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀, mo dúpẹ́.
Gbogbo náà gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe sọ ní gbọ́ tọ́ba wọn fẹ́ gbọ́ mi dáadáa tó o sì fẹ́ máa rí ọ̀hún dáadáa AMFM and TV oníkọ́ lọ tọ́ba ti débẹ̀ gbogbo ibi kíbi lórí social media wà á bá wọn pàdé wo má jẹ tán má jẹ kéde kó gbé ọ̀kẹ́ àbáyé o tèmi ni ó ṣe o ìdí mo sọ yìí òní ọgbọ́ AMFM and TV iléeṣẹ́ tó ní àbá àdéjẹ́ àgbà ló kọ̀ mí o sálámù aláìkùm.
àjànàkú kọjá mo rí nǹkan fìrí tá a bá rèrè káwé bá a rèrè ìkànnì MFM radio and TV ẹ̀yẹ tí ó dorí kodò bí àdó òsì ẹ má ìdúró ń bẹ̀ fún ìròyìn tí ò lábùlà ìròyìn eré ìdárayá orin tó dùn wálé sí àṣà ẹ̀fẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ ìṣítí gbogbo tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ gbọ́ gbogbo tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ mọ̀ lójú kan ṣoṣo òun náà ló wà ní ìkànnì MFM radio and TV àjà ló lẹ́rù ìrọ̀ ní ẹ̀yẹ́mbà.
MFM fún ìdálárayá, ètò àsìkò, ìkọ́nilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ìgbà gbogbo. AMFM gbé kúrò níbẹ̀ nígbà gbogbo. Ẹni tó bá níjó tí ò jó, ẹni tó bá láyọ̀ tí ò yọ̀, ọjọ́ tí ò pẹ́ ni ó sunra rẹ̀ láwọ̀ ara. AMFM ló ní kẹ́ẹ̀rí jó kẹ́ẹ̀jó kẹ́ẹ̀ráyọ̀ kẹ́ẹ̀sì máa yọ̀. AMFM ni ẹ máa gbọ́ ni ẹ máa wò nígbà gbogbo.
Audio
7.3 and watching us, do well to like, comment and share. We are now in the last segment from the newspaper this morning, which is the details to the headlines. And the first our bringing out this morning says, Pengasan fires back as Shettima defends Dangote. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria has tackled the presidency over comments by Vice President Kassim Shettima, condemning the industrial action over a rift with Dangote refinery. Pakistan told the Punch on Monday that it would take the same action if its member was sacked again. This comes as some individuals staged a protest in Kaduna, accusing Pengasan for attempting sabotage the Dangote refinery. Pengasan has last week shut down critical oil and gas facilities over the allegation that Dangote refinery sacked 800 workers who joined the union, but the Dangote refinery said it only sacked a few workers who were sabotaging the facilities, saying it was part of the company's reorganization. But oil and gas workers embarked on a strike, a defense on their colleagues, causing the nation's losses in oil and gas production as well as a drop in power generation. The intervention of the federal government restored normalcy as the Pengasan suspended the strike on Wednesday after Dangote Group was asked to redeploy the sacked workers to other business units. Despite the suspension, the strike was caused queues in the filling station. The price of cooking gas has yet to return about 900 per kg, as it still sold for 2,000 in Lagos and other places as of Monday. Speaking on Monday, the opening of 2025 Nigerian Economic Summit in Abuja, Shettima described Dangote as an institution and a pillar of Nigerian economic development. He warned that Nigeria is a greater than Pengasan and none should be hold the company ransom. Reacting to the national president of the Pengasan, Festus Osifo, and the nation was bigger than Dangote and his presidency as well. According to Osifo, Pengasan has a mandate to protect the jobs of its members sacked by Dangote refinery for joining the association. This mandate, he said, it will be discharged whenever the next arises.
Audio Jungle.
Story says Natasha resumed at Senate today after 6 months suspension. After serving her 6 month suspension, the senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, is set to officially resume the plenary session along with the other lawmakers today. The assurance was given by one of her lawyers, Victor Giwa, in an interview with The Punch. The upper chamber at the earliest shifted its resumption from September 23 to October 7, 2025, extending its annual recess to 2 weeks and halting celebration on its several key national priorities. Our legal team has warned the Senate against any move to block our entry into the chamber, insisting that the Kogi Central lawmaker had already served out of her punishment and is constitutionally entitled to resume legislative duties. Akpoti Udogan has described Senate President Godswill Akpabio as a dictator when she allowed into her office 2 weeks ago after serving as sanctions. Her return followed on the unsealing of her office, located in Suite 25 at the Central Senate Wing by the Deputy Director and the National Assembly State Assistant Army Alabi Adedeji. Akpoti Udogan, who has been the center of practice straightforward, and the Senate leadership has maintained at Diviana, stressing that she had no apology to tender. The embattled lawmaker was handed the 6-month suspension in March, bearing her from all the activities of 10 Senates over the alleged misconduct during her protest against the reassessment of her seat by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio on February 20. Although her suspension formally lapsed in September, she has been unable to return due to legal issue and assistance from Senate leadership efforts to reach the Senate spokesperson Yemi Adaramudu and the media haste to the Senate President of comment to prove unsuccessful as call and messages went unanswered. Will the National Assembly resume today? After its long recess, the spotlight in family of the Red Chamber as the Nigeria waits to see whether Senator October 9, 2025 to deliberate on its escalating insecurity across parts of the country and other pressing public confidence aimed raising security concerns. According to a statement on Monday by the Permanent Secretary, Cabinet Affairs Office, Dr. Amaso Omogun, the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has formally invited all members of both council and participate either physically or virtually. The Council of the State, chaired by the President, is an advisory body comparing the former President, the former Head of State, former Chief Justice of Nigeria, State Governors, and Attorney General of the Federation. It provides the Council on major policy matters, including national security and appointments. The Police Council, on the other hand, oversees the organization, administration, and operational control of the state police force, including the appointment and discipline of senior officers. Presidency source told that he had the meeting would be reviewed with the National Secretary situation, evaluate the ongoing military operation, and consider fresh measures to tackle bandits, kidnapping, and communal violence in some northern of the central state. The plenary season will be held coincided with the deliberation on key political and administrative matters, including the expected nomination of one successors to the ongoing chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. The meeting comes just after President Tinubu returned to Abuja on Monday evening from 10 days working visits to Lagos, where he had a series of engagement with investors, development partners, and political stakeholders. His aircraft at the San Mario Registrar BBJ-T7 landed at the presidential wings of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at 6:55 p.m. according to a statement by the State House of Media Office. While in Lagos, the president met the leading business figures, including Global Infrastructure Partner CEO Bayo Ogunlesi and the Merit Capital Partners Chairman Kim Bello Ogasigi, where he discussed the central of expanding investment in infrastructure, energy and logistics sector critical to economic diversification and job creation. Before returning to Abuja, Tinubu touched several states, including Oyo, Imo, and Plateau for national events and engagement, during which he retired his administration, focused on unity, security, and inclusive development. Thursday Council of the State meeting will be the second under Tinubu government. This was contained in Memo Tax Strike Bulletin 1, sent to all branches and the signing and implementation of the renegotiation 2009 ASU FGN agreement. In the fresh memo to the branches, ASU National President Professor Chris Pewuna lamented that the government's failure to provide a meaningful response to the union's demand despite the ultimatum when they contacted the spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, Folashade Boriowo, said update the government response would be provided when available. The union decision followed the National Executive Council meeting held on Sunday, September 28, 2025 at the University of Abuja. In a communique issued at the end of the meeting, ASU listed several unresolved issues that has been debated for months. This includes the renegotiation of the 2009 ASU FGN agreement, sustainable funding for university, revitalization of addressing the victimization over 4 years, and the settlement of held on October 4, 2025. At the Federal University Lafayette, the union empressed displayed Jonathan as the first defendant, while the Independent National Electoral Commission and the Attorney General of the Federation were mentioned in the second and the third defendants respectively. The lawyers prayed that the court for the order to rescind INEC from accepting the publishing Jonathan's name as the duly nominated candidate for the presidential contest under the political parties. In any affidavit filed the support of the suit, disposed by the one Emmanuel was to contest with win 2027 presidential election, which has 4 years term running from 2027 to 2031. It would exceed the constitutional allowed maximum of 8 years in office as the president of Nigeria. He also prayed the court that an order of the perpetual injunction restraining Jonathan from presenting himself to any political party in Nigeria for nominating as his presidential candidate 27 of the therefore for compliance with any decision to order made by the court in the matter. In the recent times, there has been calls on Jonathan to join the 2027 presidential race. The calls have been made by the leading figure in the opposition parties, but Jonathan has yet to speak openly on whether or not he wants to contest. Governor, Minister Trade Ward over alleged certificate forgery. The controversy surrounding the academic credentials of the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Nnaji, debuting on Monday, and its media head, Ripot Nwagwu, accused the Enugu State Governor, Peter Umba, of orchestrating the smear campaign against the minister. But in a swift reaction, the governor denied the allegation, asking the minister to carry your cross. Speaking during a press conference in Abuja, the minister hated the denied allegation that it has Principal Nnaji forged its universities and National Youth Service Corps certificate, describing the claims as the political motivated. He added that the campaign was being driven by Umba to discredit the minister for political reasons. Ongu further stated that Umba, who is reportedly seeking a second term, viewed Nnaji as an obstacle to remove the plan to defeat the All Progressive Congress from People Democratic Party. The minister head further stated that Nnaji has formally requested his academic transcripts from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, to clear its name, but noted that the university failed to release it despite the court order. Latest developments followed the Premium Times, investigated by the report published on Saturday, which alleged that Umba submitted fraud certificates and NYSC certificates to President Bola Tinubu and the signs during its ministerial nomination process in 2023. Reports claim that the UNNN disowned the degree certificate submitted by Nnaji, stating that although he was admitted in 1981, he did not complete his studies and was never awarded a degree. University Vice Chancellor Simeon Otunya confirmed this in a response to the Freedom of Information request dated October 2, in which he stated that Nnaji was not a graduate of the institution. They contradicted a December 2023 response from UNS Registrar Salim Mbedom, who has previously confirmed Nnaji as graduation but later resented before the Public Complaints Commission in 23 May 2025. Later that, the university searched its graduation record for the 1985 season but could not find Mr. Nnaji's name on them. The Minister of Education and the NUC, the first and second respondents, were not represented by the hearing. Nnaji's legal team challenged the Premium Times article, calling it damaging was given the ongoing litigation over the minister's academic record. Denying Nnaji's allegation, however, the Director of Information at the Enugu State Minister of Information and Communication, Chukwuemeka Nibo, stated that the government had no connection to the controversy.
Audio Jungle.
Another story says Osun Amatekun commander escape assassination attempt. The commander of Osun Amatekun Corps, Adekunle Omoyele, has escaped an assassination attempt after an ambush by gunmen in Osogbo on Monday. This is contained in a statement issued by the Corps spokesperson, Mr. Abbas Yusuf, as made available to newsmen on Tuesday in Osogbo. Yusuf said the ambush occurred on Monday at about 10:05 p.m. on Ikirun Road, opposite Charity Hotel, Osogbo. He explained that the commander was driving home alone after official work when the gunmen opened fire on him, having his vehicle riddled by the bullets. According to him, the attack on the top-ranking security official raises questions about rising security among those who are tasked with the responsibility of protecting the people in the state. Punch Online had reported the Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke ordered a full investigation into the recent killing of some residents of Akinlalu community by operatives of the Amotekun Corps. The government subsequently dispatched a top-level government delegation to affected community to find out what transpired of the day of the incident.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Kaduna PDP suspends secretary over anti-party. The People Democratic Party in Kaduna State has suspended the state secretary, Mr. Seidu Adamu, over allegation of gross misconduct and anti-party activities. The state publicity secretary of the party, Mrs. Maria Dogo, disclosed this in a statement made available to the newsmen in Kaduna today. Dogo said the suspension was in line with the provision of Anti-58/1 of the PDP Constitution 2027 as amended. The party assured the member and the public commitment of the internal discipline, fairness and justice under the leadership of the state chairman, Mr. Edward Passy Marshall. Similarly, on August 26, 2025, Punch Online reported that the Anambra State House of Assembly has suspended the member representing Ayemuludun constituency, Bernard Uzodinma, for 10 months. Uzodinma was suspended